owning an estimated fortune of over $300 million. A nearly 12,000-square-foot mansion atop the snowy mountains of Colorado. A one-of-a-kind classic car collection worth up to $4 million, personally designed by its owner. A custom car workshop bearing his name, generating millions of dollars in revenue each year. But few people know that James Hetfield was once abandoned, once battled alcohol addiction, once lost everything. Yet, he didn't just rise again. He built an empire. A life like no other, filled with storms, roaring guitar riffs, and decisions that leave people both in awe and astonishment. This isn't just a story about rock music. It's a journey of living authentically, living deeply, and living large. Join us as we explore the extraordinary life of Metallica's frontman, James Hetfield. James Allen Hetfield, the name that would later command the reverence of the entire rock world, was once just a quiet boy growing up amidst emotional wreckage in a small house in Downey, California. Born on August 3, 1963, James was not born into wealth or music. His mother, Cynthia, was a semi-professional opera singer with a sweet voice, while his father, Virgil, was a humble truck driver who worked tirelessly to support the family. It seemed like a typical American household, until the veil of religious belief came down. The Hetfield family followed Christian Science, an extreme faith that rejected modern medicine, believing only God could heal. It was more than just a belief. It was a barrier that cut James off from every possible escape: hospitals, doctors, and even society's compassion. Worse yet, this faith made James an outcast in his own school. In the 2010 documentary Absent, he recalled having to sit outside the health education classroom while his peers learned about the human body, illnesses, and self-care. James sat alone in the hallway, watching with curiosity and quiet shame the world he was forbidden from entering. Then, tragedy struck like a chain reaction of falling dominoes. In 1976, at just 13 years old, James was abandoned by his father. Virgil quietly walked out of the house without a word, no final embrace, no personal farewell. Just a note, and it wasn't even for James. That boy waited for the door to swing open, for the sound of a truck turning back, for someone to return, but no one ever did. James's world collapsed. From that moment on, his mother, a frail woman with an opera singer's voice, had to shoulder everything alone. But fate was relentless. Just a few years later, in 1980, she was diagnosed with cancer. And because of her faith, she refused all modern treatments. James could only stand by, helpless, angry, confused, as his mother withered away before his eyes. In a deeply emotional 2004 interview with Terry Gross, James bitterly admitted, "I was really angry at my father. He left, took all the money, and left my mother to worry herself to death." The boy lost everything: his father, his mother, his faith, and his sense of security. James's teenage years were spent in an empty house, where there was no more opera singing, no more warm meals on the table. There were days when he went hungry, surviving on stale bread and a dream of music. No one was there for him. Only loneliness remained, and a heart full of wounds that had yet to heal. But in the midst of darkness, a flicker of light appeared. Music, the one thing not forbidden in that silent house, became his lifeline. At 9 years old, James learned to play the piano. Then he tried the drums. But at 14, when his hands first touched a guitar, everything changed. It wasn't an expensive instrument. just a cheap guitar, with rusty strings and worn frets. But to James, it was an entire universe. "Music was my escape from my chaotic family," he once said. And so, the teenage boy began to teach himself how to play, clutching his guitar through the nights in his small room. He plucked the strings in silence, pressing his ears against cassette tapes of Aerosmith, Judas Priest, and Scorpions, bands that were rebellious, fiery, and alive, bringing life to a boy who was slowly dying inside. Picture a lanky, long-haired teenager with dark circles under his eyes, curled up in a messy room. Outside the window, the night was endless. In his hands, the guitar, his only friend that would never leave him. He had no money, no family, no way out. But he had music. And he had a dream. Though his heart was shattered, James refused to fall. He clung to his guitar as if clinging to life itself. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, whether he would have enough to eat, but he knew one thing: he had to play. He had to escape. He had to turn pain into power. From that lonely room, from dry slices of bread and silent nights, a resilient James Hetfield was born. A boy who seemed destined to break, became the soul of one of the greatest bands in the world. And the legend had only just begun. From the lonely room where James once silently clutched his guitar, fate led him to a turning point that would change his life, and the course of rock music forever. In 1981, James Hetfield came across a small ad in the Recycler. A Danish drummer named Lars Ulrich was looking for musicians to start a metal band. At their first meeting, James wasn't impressed. Lars kept dropping his cymbals and played the drums like he was wrestling with a kitchen set. But beneath the clumsy exterior was an unyielding drive. And more importantly, they shared one thing: a burning love for pure, raw, and honest heavy metal. Lars may not have been the best drummer, but he had determination. "And I had pain that needed to come out," James recalled. They began rehearsing in a dusty garage. Nothing but amps, drums, and a dream. James took on both rhythm guitar and lead vocals, a demanding role, but a necessary one. Every riff was a slice of his childhood. Every lyric was a scream from his loneliness. They didn't play to be liked. They played like their lives depended on it. We had nothing but music. No money, no record deal, no future. But we had our guitars. And we had each other. In 1983, they released their debut album, Kill 'Em All, a punch to the face of every conventional standard. No polish, no compromises, just speed, energy, and rage. This was music for those left behind, and Metallica was their voice. In 1984, they followed up with Ride the Lightning, proving that Metallica was more than just screaming. They had emotional depth and growing songwriting maturity. Then came Master of Puppets, released in March 1986, their third album and the defining masterpiece of thrash metal. The title track was an indictment of human control, addiction, war, power. Metallica's music had now transcended metal itself. It touched something deeper in the human soul. At this point, they were no longer an underground band. They were the voice of a suffocated generation. But just as the light broke through, darkness struck again. In September 1986, during a tour in Sweden, the band's tour bus skidded on icy roads and overturned. Cliff Burton, their genius bassist, James's kindred spirit, was thrown out of a window and killed instantly. That feeling of being abandoned came rushing back. "I thought maybe I shouldn't put my heart out there anymore," James later admitted, choking back emotion. Once again, fate ripped away the person he loved most. But this time, it wasn't his childhood, it was his present. The friend who had helped him write Metallica's glorious first chapter was gone. James became withdrawn. He drank more, spoke less. He stopped believing in the world. But he did not break. Not this time. James didn't just drink to forget. He picked up his guitar, wrote riffs that tore through his pain, and pulled Metallica back from the edge. He refused to let loss bury everything. Instead, he turned it into fuel. They continued the tour, refusing to let grief slow them down. Master of Puppets was no longer just an album. It was a timeless tribute to Cliff. Every night, James played as if Cliff was watching. Fans recalled, "We saw James look up to the sky after playing Orion. He didn't say anything, but we all understood." And they pushed forward, with heavy hearts, but a fire that burned brighter than ever. In 1988, Metallica released And Justice for All, an album drenched in political and social themes. Though controversial for its nearly non-existent bass mix, it was a testament to their evolution. The song One, opening with helicopter blades and gunfire, hit listeners like an emotional grenade. Their first music video aired on MTV, introducing Metallica to millions of new fans. We used to be against MTV, against the mainstream. But then I realized, if our message is strong enough, it deserves to be heard. Life didn't get easier. Endless touring, exhaustion, pressure, sleepless nights, alcohol creeping in as an unwanted companion. There were nights when they slept in the back of a truck, eating stale bread, while James played until his fingers bled. Not for fame, but because music was his only way to survive. I lost my father. I lost my mother. I lost my best friend. I had nothing left to lose. But I still had my guitar. And I wasn't letting go. By now, Metallica wasn't just a band. They were a movement. They were belief. They were the roar of the Forsaken, now standing tall on the world's biggest stages. And James, once a lost boy, was now their leader. The fire that would never die. From a boy surviving on a few slices of bread and a musical dream to a rock legend living in unparalleled luxury, James Hetfield rose from a boy who lived on a few slices of bread and a dream of music to the pinnacle of the rock world. And at that peak, he left behind not only an indelible musical legacy but also built a lavish and unique lifestyle, one truly worthy of a living legend. Musical achievements. When a dream becomes an empire. In 1991, Metallica released the Black Album, a global explosion. This album alone sold over 30 million copies worldwide, catapulting the band from the underground straight to the mainstream summit. Songs like Enter Sandman, The Unforgiven, and especially Nothing Else Matters were not just hits, they became cultural icons. Metallica won 9 Grammy Awards and performed on all 7 continents, including a rare show in Antarctica in 2013, an achievement only a few artists in history can claim. And in 2009, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the ultimate recognition for those who have shaped music history. With an estimated personal net worth of around $300 million, James Hetfield is no longer just an artist, he is a living symbol. Rocking H Ranch, a wild kingdom in the heart of California. In 1999, at the height of Metallica's dominance, James Hetfield purchased 1,150 acres in Marin County, California, near George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch. He named it Rocking H Ranch, a name evoking rugged cowboys and the raw spirit of rock and roll. Though he donated over 1,000 acres for conservation, he kept 50 acres as his own secluded kingdom, hidden from prying eyes. Imagine a grand wooden lodge nestled in the pines, with a roaring granite fireplace beneath a collection of electric guitars, each one a trophy from the stage. A subterranean recording studio with black leather walls and crimson neon lights, where James crafts his fiercest riffs. A small glass house stocked with premium Cuban cigars, where he sips whiskey by a moonlit artificial lake. A private trail leads to his hunting grounds, where he wields his rifle like an ancient warrior. This is more than just real estate. It is where James reigns as the king of the wild. Real estate insiders whisper that with its opulence and unique location, Rocking H Ranch could be worth up to $50 million, a price befitting a metal legend. Vail, Colorado Mountain Mansion, the snow castle of a rocker. In 2016, James left California for Vail, Colorado, the winter paradise of the ultra-wealthy. His 11,500 square foot mansion, with 7 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, sits nestled beneath the majestic Rocky Mountains. Carved oak doors adorned with skull engravings open into a grand hall with a towering ceiling and glistening black crystal chandeliers. A massive stone fireplace warms the deer-hide armchairs where James sips bourbon, watching the snow fall through floor-to-ceiling windows. The indoor pool, resembling a cave, has hot water cascading from rock waterfalls, with LED lights pulsing to the beat of Enter Sandman. The underground garage houses a muscle car collection, a jet-black 1969 Chevrolet Camaro, embodying pure rock energy. A recording studio with steel walls and gold-plated guitars is where he unleashes his immortal melodies. This is the snow castle of a rock king, estimated to be worth around $30 million, but to James, it is priceless. Maui, Hawaii Villa, a rocker's tropical paradise. James owns a gem in Maui, Hawaii, an island of dreamlike beauty. His villa, hidden among coconut groves near the ocean, features thatched roofs and glass doors that open to breathtaking sea views. An infinity pool reflects the sunset, where James lounges with a cocktail, listening to the waves crash. The open-air living room, with a volcanic stone bar, is where he strums the ukulele amidst the sounds of tropical birds. The master suite, with silk bedding and a marble jacuzzi overlooking the Pacific, is a sanctuary of luxury. His surfboard collection, signed from his days conquering the waves of Jaws, decorates the walls. A private dock holds his white yacht, where he hosts moonlit parties. This is the quiet paradise of a rocker who once roared across the world. Real estate experts estimate its value at around $20 million, fitting for the retreat of a metal god. James' homes are where he returns. But his true joy lies on 4 wheels, where classic machines become rolling works of art. 1948 Jaguar Black Pearl, a one-of-a-kind dark gem. In James Hetfield's garage, the 1948 Jaguar Black Pearl is the crown jewel, a custom-built masterpiece blending retrofuturistic and vintage aesthetics. Its mirror-like black paint reflects stage lights, while its roaring V12 engine echoes the Enter Sandman riff. This is the only one in the world, designed exclusively for James, with blood-red leather interiors, vintage analog dials, and an ebonywood steering wheel engraved with the Metallica logo. He has driven it along California's mountain roads, hair blowing in the wind, like a warrior on his battle chariot. The electric windows slide down, and a Bose sound system blasts Master of Puppets at full volume. Every ride is a concert. James calls it his Black Pearl for its mysterious beauty and raw power. Car collectors speculate that, with its uniqueness and craftsmanship, Black Pearl is worth around $1.5 million, a price worthy of a machine that embodies the spirit of a rocker like James. 1956 Chevy Bel Air, the roaring beast of the 50s. James' 1956 Chevy Bel Air is an American monster, fully customized to roar like Metallica's music. Matte black paint, gleaming chrome trims, and a thunderous V8 engine that growls like the drums in one. Its black leather interior features skull engravings, a signature touch of James. He often drives it through the back roads of Colorado, letting the engine's roar drown out all other sounds. With lowered suspension, oversized wheels, and modern LED headlights, it is the perfect fusion of classic and contemporary. To James, the Bel Air is not just a car, it is a symbol of strength and freedom. Classic car experts estimate its value at around $500,000, but to James, it is priceless, like a beloved guitar. 1937 Lincoln Zephyr, a sculpted windrider. The 1937 Lincoln Zephyr is another gem in James' collection, with its sleek aerodynamic design resembling a rolling sculpture. Its metallic silver paint gleams under the sun, and its curving bodywork is an artistic marvel. The upgraded V12 engine, luxurious brown leather interior, and polished walnut dashboard complete this masterpiece. James has driven it through Marin County, letting the forest breeze flow through the open windows, like a rocker reconnecting with his roots. The hidden sound system plays Nothing Else Matters, turning every journey into a living ballad. This car is the perfect blend of elegance and wildness, just like James himself. Classic car enthusiasts estimate its value at around $700,000, but for James, it embodies the American dream he carved with his own hands. 1961 Buick Skylark, a rocker sleek muscle car. The 1961 Buick Skylark is a shining muscle car in James' collection, exuding both sleekness and raw power. Its black-blue metallic paint, gleaming chrome grille, and roaring V8 engine echo Kirk Hammett solos. The white leather interior contrasts beautifully, and a custom steering wheel engraved with J.H. Marks' personal touch. James drives it down endless highways, letting the exhaust roar like a defiant scream. Oversized wheels, stiffened suspension, and glowing red taillights transform it into a street beast. He once said, "The Skylark is how I scream at the world without a microphone." With its unique modifications, collectors whisper that it's worth around $400,000, a luxurious beast infused with Metallica's soul. From roaring on asphalt to savoring fine cigars and custom motorcycles, James lives a life unlike any other, wild, rugged, and deeply artistic. James Hetfield lives lavishly but not flamboyantly. He is a rocker who embraces strength and edge. Hunting and archery are his great passions, bringing him back to the wild. But most notably, cigars stand out. In 2022, he launched Blackened Cigars M81 with Drew Estate, a bold, full-bodied cigar with thick smoke, much like his voice. His collection of custom motorcycles is also a source of pride. Oversized wheels, roaring engines, sleek black paint with skull motifs, each one a fierce beast, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. James rides them through the mountain roads of Colorado, hair flowing in the wind, living the true rock spirit. I don't need much. Just a place to escape, a few things to create music, and a road to ride forever, he once said. James' lifestyle is a perfect fusion of primal instinct and refined taste, a legend beyond comparison. After nights of burning passion on stage, after the dazzling lights and the applause of thousands, James Hetfield returns to another part of his life, where he is not just an artist, but also an investor, an inspiration, and above all, a man who knows how to give back. When an artist becomes a builder of the future. Not many people know that, beyond music, James Hetfield is also a quiet yet sharp investor. The real estate he owns, from the snow-covered mountains of Colorado to the tropical paradise of Hawaii and the lush greenlands of California, is not just a place to live, but a collection of high-value assets that have grown sustainably over time. His vast properties, spanning hundreds or even thousands of acres, are not only a symbol of status but also a testament to his long-term vision for land, the environment, and natural resources. Beyond real estate, James has also ventured into filmmaking. He co-produced the acclaimed documentary Metallica, Some Kind of Monster, a project that made waves not only for its raw and honest portrayal of the band but also for its bravery in exposing the darker sides of fame. The film received praise from critics and audiences worldwide. But he didn't stop there. James also owns Hetfield's Garage, a custom car workshop infused with his personal style, where he doesn't just showcase vehicles but breathes new life into classic machines, turning them into one-of-a-kind masterpieces. For car enthusiasts, this is a holy grail. For James, it is a creative workshop where he continues to compose using engines and metal. To James, investing is not just about making a profit, it's about building something lasting from passion. Charity, when pain becomes hope for others. But perhaps what makes James Hetfield truly extraordinary is his heart, a heart that has been broken yet now knows how to heal others. In 2017, he and Metallica founded the All Within My Hands Foundation, a charity that operates quietly but makes a real impact. The name was inspired by the song All Within My Hands, but now, it is no longer just lyrics, it is a pledge. The foundation supports a wide range of causes: disaster relief, vocational training and higher education, assistance for veterans and struggling families, and more recently, aid for communities affected by climate change and pandemics. James doesn't just write checks and disappear. He shows up, participates, listens, and contributes with his own hands, just as he has always lived with music, wholeheartedly and authentically. I know what it feels like to have nothing. I've been there. And if I can help someone escape that feeling, then I will. Beyond financial support, James has also given back to nature. He donated over 1,000 acres of his land in Marin County to the Marin Agricultural Land Trust, an organization dedicated to protecting farmland and the environment. The land that once belonged to him is now a green lung for future generations. While many celebrities invest in supercars, luxury watches, or skyscrapers, James chooses to invest in trees, land, and communities. This is not just charity, it is responsibility and humanity. A legacy beyond fame. James Hetfield had every reason to become bitter at life: a broken childhood, the loss of loved ones, years of loneliness and internal battles. But instead of shutting himself off, he opened up. Instead of hoarding wealth, he shared. Because, as he himself said, "When I'm in pain, I write music. When I see others in pain, I want to do something." Both are ways to heal. At the peak of fame, James Hetfield remains a man of the people, not because he craves applause, but because he understands the value of being present, of giving back, and of inspiring others. Without grandiose speeches or flashy media appearances, James Hetfield chooses to give in silence, just as he has lived through loss, quietly but resiliently. He once said, "I don't just want to be famous. I want to be useful." For him, giving is not about recognition but about the act itself, an act of someone who once had nothing and knows the value of even the smallest opportunity in life. Whether it's helping a young person get a vocational education, ensuring a family has a meal after a storm, or helping a veteran find meaning in life again, James sees himself in each of them. One remarkable aspect of the All Within My Hands Foundation is its focus on vocational training and practical skills, something that very few charities emphasize. James understands that not everyone can be a star, but everyone deserves a chance to start over. Today, fans may see James Hetfield on stage, under the bright lights, but somewhere out there, there is another James, sitting in his wooden home in Colorado, watching the sunset, writing music, and quietly thinking about what he can do for the world, no matter how small. Because in the end, what makes a person truly great is not just the applause they receive, but the legacy they leave in the hearts of others. No matter how dazzling James Hetfield's life may seem, it has never been smooth. Behind the stage lights, behind the fierce riffs and the roar of tens of thousands of fans, stands a man still wrestling with his own darkness. In 1992, during a show in Montreal, while the band was playing Fade to Black, a pyrotechnic accident left James with second and third degree burns on his hand and face. The physical pain was real, but the worst part was not being able to play guitar for weeks. Yet, just 17 days later, James was back on stage, not because he had to, but for the audience, for the music, and for his belief that he had to keep going. But there was another enemy, a quieter one: alcohol. Since Metallica's early days, James had relied on drinking to escape the past, to ease stress, to survive the grueling tours. But what started as a habit gradually became a darkness that consumed him. In 2001, after intense conflicts within the band, James made the decision to enter rehab, a courageous step that few rock stars at the time would have openly admitted. That journey was captured in the famous documentary Some Kind of Monster, where audiences no longer saw a stage hero, but a man laid bare, tormented, torn apart, unsure if he could ever return. And yet, he stood back up. Metallica released Saint Anger, 2003, raw, furious, not in the polished way music is often produced, but as the unfiltered scream of a man battling himself. But the road to recovery is never a straight line. In 2019, James Hetfield relapsed. He was forced to cancel Metallica's entire tour in Australia and New Zealand to return to rehab. In an emotional message to fans, he wrote, "I am only human. I will die like everyone else. But I'm doing my best." That simple yet honest statement did not just earn him sympathy, it made millions of fans admire him even more. Because James never pretended to be perfect. He never hid his scars. He let people see them and learn to be strong alongside him. What makes James Hetfield truly different is not the number of albums he has sold or the wealth he has accumulated. It is the fact that he never stops trying to make things right, never stops coming back, and never shies away from the truth. He turns pain into lyrics, turns failures into music, turns scandals into life lessons. Songs like Frantic, The Unnamed Feeling, and All Within My Hands are all raw pieces of James' heart. Every lyric, every growl, is a step away from the abyss. James has never called himself a hero. But because of that, he has become a real one, a living symbol of the truth that, no matter how many times you fail, as long as you haven't given up, you can still rewrite your story. Facing his past. James Hetfield has also faced waves of criticism over controversial statements he made in his youth, including racially insensitive remarks during Metallica's early years. Though these incidents happened decades ago, they have not been forgotten, especially as younger audiences rediscovered Master of Puppets after its resurgence in popularity through Stranger Things. James did not deny them. He did not make excuses. He did not try to cover them up. He remained silent when needed, not to avoid responsibility, but to let time and his actions speak for him. He understands that maturity is not just about apologizing. It is about living better every day. The imperfect icon. James Hetfield is not perfect. He has stumbled. He has said the wrong things. He has missed opportunities. He has come close to losing everything. But that is exactly what makes him a true icon, not because he is flawless, but because he never stops fighting to be better. From an abandoned boy to a man embraced by millions. From a small room with a cheap guitar to the biggest, burning stages across the world. From burns, scars, and addiction, to love, charity, creativity, and an irreplaceable musical legacy. James Hetfield has proven that you don't need to be perfect to inspire others. You just need to be real and keep moving forward. And that is why, whether you are a metal fan or not, his story is always worth listening to, admiring, and remembering.